Hi, angels. In today's podcast episode, I want to share with you about a question that I get asked. How do I surrender? How do I trust? How do I let go of trying to control everything? And I'm going to share with you a fun story that we did a trip from 1770 on our jet skis with a group of friends over to Lady Musgrave Island. And there was a part we could not see land. We were like little drops in the ocean. And I want to share with you a lot of the tools, the rituals, the practices, the mindset that helped me really embrace that whole trip, that whole journey. But there are so many lessons and wisdom and teachings that come out of that trip for me, but that I'm going to share with you because it is going to teach you how to let go a little bit more, how to trust and surrender that beautiful energy as you move through life that is going to help you on your life path, angels. Let's dive in. This was such a cool adventure. Hello, my beautiful friends. I am so excited to share with you today. As always, I love having a chat with you guys, and I get a lot of inspiration for my podcast from experiences I've had, from chats with my members in the studio. And what I want to share with you today is a combination of both, because I've had a member say to me, we've got a coaching program that I'm running with the girls this year, this inner circle coaching, teaching women how to really tap into their authentic selves, how to open up to the spiritual world. Because a lot of people would say to me, I will want to learn how to become more spiritual. I don't know how to. I'm disconnected from myself. I don't know how to take care of myself properly because I take care of everybody else. And all of these, let's just say, problems that I have seen over the years, girls wanting to manifest things they want, but don't know how. They're stuck, they're controlling, they're perfecting, all the things that we go through as mums, right? And I would see a lot of these problems in my years of working with women, and how your confidence comes from the inside. No matter how much you work on your physical body, girls, it comes from the work that you do on the inside. So over all my years with women and my own experience, I created this coaching program. At the moment, it may change down the track, but at the moment, time of recording, we are running it for a 12-month container, right? For the whole of 2026. And we're talking in that container at the moment about trust and surrender, about letting go of control and how to actually surrender. How do we do it? A lot of questions have come up about that. And I want to share with you, I guess this is probably a really powerful example of how, from a trip that we just recently come back from, that I had to go into complete trust and complete surrender because we were out in the middle of the ocean and could not see land. So I want to share that with you because I know a lot of what I experienced, and there's a lot of lessons in it, right? There's a lot of teachings, there's a lot of wisdom, and this is probably, I teach from experience. This is probably a really easy way for you to kind of grasp it, understand it, and also help you on your path to enjoy more of life. I want to inspire you to live your best life, to enjoy more of life, and to letting go of having to control everything. Because when we come from that place of more of a divine surrender, divine trust, that trust in ourselves, that letting go of what has to be and letting life unfold for you and going with more of that flow of life, that ease of flow, as opposed to constantly trying to predict and control and have everything always, like routines, and I guess all of that constant pressure that we put on ourselves to go to the next thing. We're constantly thinking about the future, the next thing that we have to do, all of the stuff in our to-do box, our inbox, our mind, that we live in such a place of mental clutter. And look, it's not all clutter, but it's stuff that we have to do to navigate our life. But we live in such a state of overwhelm because our minds are constantly cluttered, constantly thinking about what to do next, that it steps us away from living more in the now, living more in the present, and enjoying more of the flow of life. And I remember many years ago going to an energy healer, and she said, Lise, you are so in your head. Like, she could feel that busyness of my head, like many of you are. I was exactly the same place. She said, you need to get more out of your head and into your heart. And the more I've done that over the years, the more I've learned to trust in myself and trust in the flow of life and just kind of go, fuck it, like just surrender to whatever's meant to be will be, okay? And this trip that we went on, it was a really prime example of that. So what happened, if I go back to the beginning of the year, I was saying to my husband, I said, we used to travel a lot more. Before I had the studio, we would travel a lot more. We'd have a lot more adventures, a lot more fun. And then, not that we don't have fun, but we had a lot more trips. And I said to him, I'm sick of getting to the end of the year and realizing that another year has passed and we're actually not putting aside, dedicating enough time for ourselves to have our weekends away like we used to, have some trips with the family and go on some adventures. We didn't really do much of that last year. So I'm going to start beginning of this year, putting like in my calendar, I'm mapping out some things that we're going to do. I pop in like my big rocks, like, we'd pop in our work things, our commitments that we had, my Bali retreat. So all those things, we kind of map that out. And I said, every quarter, I want to go and do something, whether it's a week, whether it's a weekend. We need something to look forward to every quarter. And we've got a group of friends our kids went to school together. So there's a bunch of families. Our kids it's beautiful. They're siblings of friends. Like, they're all a really great group of friends from over the years of schooling together. And we've become friends as parents, and we've had some camping trips away and some fun, get-togethers and things like that. So I got on the chat with our group of friends and said, right, let's plan out a couple of things this year, because it's so hard when you're navigating all of the families. But not only that, our kids are getting older now. So this trip that I'm about to share with you, like, my kids didn't go on this trip because it's harder as they get older. And so if your kids are young, lap up all the time that you have with them. But moving on, as they get older, we will still keep planning things. And if they can make it, they can make it. I know if we pay for it, they'll come. But they have to weigh up if it's worth they're juggling getting time off work, right? They're juggling annual leave. They're juggling partners. They're navigating the things that they want to do. So they're kind of weighing up what they'll do with mum and dad and what they won't. And so I said to everyone, let's book it in a few things. So we've got like a fun camping trip at the end of the year, which all the kids will come to. It's not too far. It's just at Yamba, so they can all drive down, bring swags, whatever, on the river, take our skis and stuff down, and it'll just be a really fun trip. So we got that planned at the end of the year. And then talking to one of the friends' dads, he said, I've always wanted to go, because he's a boatie. He's traveled up from Gold Coast up Whitsundays on the boat. And he said, Lady Musgrave is amazing. It's so beautiful. He said, we've been to 1770 before, but he said, it would be so cool to do an adventure to go from 1770 mainland to ski over to Lady Musgrave Island. And I went in blind and went, sure, that sounds like fun. And so we worked out a date, popped it in, and we decided to get some cabins up at 1770, which were kind of halfway between 1770 and Agnes Waters. And that way we could take bikes up, we could just ride bikes. And this is literally what we did all week. We rode bikes everywhere. We snorkeled, we jet skied, we did lots of, some nice treks, a little bit of four-wheel driving. We did some beautiful sunrise beach walks. We had sunsets down at the little kind of 1770 headlet point down there on the water, had some drinks and nibbles, sitting on the beach, watching sunsets, immersed ourselves in nature for the whole week. And it was absolutely amazing. So we went in, Tom and I went in a bit blind, because we've done lots of trips, say, where I live, you go out, we literally, depends who's driving the ski, 10 to 20 minutes, probably about 15, 20 minutes over to Stradbroke Island. You go out through a part called the Jumping Pin. It's between North and South Straddy, where there's a gap where the ocean this channel out to the ocean. So we've done lots of trips where we've skied out through Jumping Pin, gone all the way around Stradbroke Island down to Gold Coast Seaway around SeaWorld, come in, had swim at Wave Break Island, and either gone back out through the ocean up to home or travelled inland through the Broadwater, through the canals and everything. And so we've done that plenty. We've been doing that for years, since the kids were young, like, well over 12 years we've been doing Stradilaps, we call them. But you're probably half a K offshore, but you're still following the land. So you're still following the island all the way down and all the way in. And it's can be a little bit daunting if you haven't done it before. You go through waves out through the jumping pin, and some days it can be quite flat. And I've been out there through days where the surf's been huge and we're wave jumping on the ski, and I'm a bit of a daredevil. I love doing that kind of stuff. I wave jump myself with Tom on one ski, me on the other, friends on skis, and we jump, and then as a wave rolls over, you jump it, it just drops off completely, and I love it. Love a bit of adventure. So I'm used to doing things like that. So we're like, sure, let's ski over to Lady Musgrave from 1770. It is the most southern island of the Great Barrier Reef. So I'm like, yeah, we haven't been there before. Apparently there was turtles and it's really, really beautiful place to snorkel. Let's do it. So 5 families went up. And if I'm honest, Tom and I went in completely, I shouldn't say completely blind, because Tom knows what he's doing. I went in completely blind in terms of I didn't know. All I knew was from the mainland to get over to 1770, it would be pending on wind, pending on swell and everything. It would take us maybe anywhere from about 90 minutes minimum. We thought 90 minutes minimum. And a friend of ours, this friend who's done it before, he hasn't actually done this trip before. He's been up there and he said that it would take around 90 minutes, but he's been over on a boat and he said there's a part that you can't see land. When you leave 1770, you get kind of a bit over halfway. You cannot see Lady Musgrave and you cannot see 1770 behind you. So you cannot see any land at all. I'm like, okay, sweet. Had that in the back of my mind. Knew this was kind of coming. He said it can be a little bit daunting, but we'll be fine. And he's got all, the boys had it all sorted. There were 6 skis that went over. They've got it all sorted. They've got all the navs, all the safety stuff, all the EPIRBs, all of the stuff that you need, flares and everything. And it's all logged, and they knew what they were doing. So I was going in kind of quite blind. And I was telling my mum about this trip because she said, what are you guys doing? And I was telling her, I said, apparently you get halfway, you can't see land. Then we're kind of skiing over to the island. And my mum's a bit of a scaredy cat. I love you, Mum. You're amazing, absolutely amazing. But I definitely get my adventurous spark more from my father. And I was telling her about that, and she's never been out on the ski with us. She doesn't like doing things like that. Tom's mum has. We've taken her tubing many times, and my mum hasn't. So her first thought is, you're going out in the ocean and you're going to be out in the middle of the ocean. What if things go wrong? And all of these thoughts go through her mind. She hasn't snorkeled either. So she says to me a week later after me telling her this, she said, I saw on the news that somebody got attacked by a shark snorkeling at Lady Musgrave. And I'm like, Mum, stop looking for this stuff. Like, if you look for that, that's what you're going to find evidence of it. Like, don't freak me out. And well, she's not going to freak me out, but I said, you're putting your fears on me. And she said, I just like to check everything, and I just like to make sure you're safe. And that's what can happen with people around you if you let their fears of what's going on in the world, or their experience, or their lack of getting out of their comfort zone, or their fears can get projected onto you. And that can go through anything, whether it's adventure stuff, whether it's starting a business, whether it's a relationship. People's perspective, people's fears their experience when they're sharing things go onto you. So don't let that stop you, okay? Don't let that stop you. I remember when we were taking the kids to South Africa, going on safari, we were going to Mexico, took them swimming with, I actually didn't tell my mum we were going to do this beforehand, but swimming with whale sharks off the coast of Mexico and La Paz. People would say to us, are you really taking your kids there? Are you doing this with your kids? I said, we're not going to downtown Mexico. We're going to Cabo. And, I felt really comfortable doing these things. You get a little bit nervous, but we checked into everything, and we we're fine. But if I had have let other people's fears along my journey of life stop me, I would not do anything at all. So I just wanted to just give you a little bit of a heads up about that. Like, don't take on other people's stuff. Don't take on other people's fears, because fears may never even come true, but they can consume your mind and hold you back and stop you from doing the things that you want in life. I know people like my mom have your best interest at heart, but part of the surrender and part of the trust process is trusting yourself and trusting your own inner compass, trusting your own desires, trusting your own adventures and exploration and the things that you want to do. Trust in that more than what other people put on you, even if it's not intentional. You can let their fears or their doubts or their concerns consume your mind and hold you back from doing the things that you're meant to do, or experiences that you want to have, or things that you want to go after in life. Don't let them, okay? Protect your energy, protect your visions, protect your life experience. And that is part of the process of trusting, is learning to trust in yourself and those sparks of inspiration, those sparks of curiosity, those the things that you kind of light you up that you want to do. Go for it. If it feels right for you, go for it. And the more you do things like that, the more you learn to trust in yourself. I mean, I've made it a habit of getting out of my comfort zone with many things that I have done in life, even like ziplining off a 170-meter tall building in Dubai over the marina. I did that with the pure intention just to get out of my comfort zone. And I did that just before I opened my Earthy Angels business. I was terrified I'm terrified of heights. And I decided to do it to challenge myself, to make myself overcome a fear so that I won't let fear hold me back from doing the things. The fear is always going to be there. I was still terrified when I was on the top of that building. But I pushed through the fear, pushed through the terror barrier. And I've done that many times with big things, with little things, just to build this muscle of trust and this muscle of faith and this muscle of, at least you can do hard things. If you sit in your comfort zone for the whole of rest of your life, you will never achieve everything that you want to do. So I wanted to share that with you as well. So that was kind of something that come up for me just before we were about to go. And I went, no, I'm going to love you, Mum, but I'm going to block that. And that's your stuff to carry, not mine. So we drove up there. We stayed at it's just easy with a whole group of us with jet skis and trailers and everything. This like caravan cabins, like we stayed in cabins right between Agnes Waters and 1770. And literally the only time we got in the car, we did one day of full driving. Other than that, was to take the skis down to the boat ramp, and then we went off exploring. So this particular day, we checked everything right, like, we checked the winds, because we knew this is a part of the other surrender process. We knew going up there, if the winds were bad, if the weather was bad, we are not going to put any of our lives in danger. We would cancel. We would cancel the trip a week out. If we checked the forecast and it was bad, all we did was pay a deposit. We just cancel the trip and reschedule it, okay? So that was a part of just letting go. Instead of getting so, confined to the plan, we were just like, if it's meant to be, it will be, right? So weather was fine. Everything was fine. The day of, we'd been checking the winds leading up. The winds were not 100% perfect, but they were good, right? For boating weather, they were pretty good. So we go off on our adventure. It was spectacular. We're skiing out there. The sun is rising. We're leaving 1770. And literally you go out of 1770, the headland, the channel, a bit of surf, and then you're straight out to the ocean. You literally go straight out to the open water. Here where I live, you've got there's canals, there's broadwater, there's places you can go everywhere and explore. And as I discovered, 1770 was a little bit different. You're straight out to the ocean, or to the exposed water, the open water. So as we're kind of going out there, I start to immerse myself in just complete surrender to the moment. The water was beautiful. The sun was rising. There were like little diamond sparkles on the water from the sunrise. And I sat there going, this is magnificent. We're skiing along. Like every now and then I keep looking around behind me, seeing how far along we've come. The land behind me is getting further and further away. And the water starts turning bluer and bluer and bluer, like that real, like royal blue, that real rich, dark blue where you know it's getting deeper. And I look over one of my friends, there was 3 women. Few of the wives would not do this trip. This is not a trip for the faint-hearted, okay? There was 3 of us girls. There were 6 skis in total. A couple of the kids that were there that were high teens, and then a couple of us couples. And we're skiing out there, and one of my friends said to me after we got to the island, she said, and I knew she was a bit nervous. She hadn't done anything like this before and hadn't really been out to the ocean much. And she said to me, she said, I looked over at you. She said, you're like you're having the best time. You're just so relaxed and you're so comfortable and you're just cruising along, holding on. She said, I'm like gripping on at the beginning. She relaxed into it. She said, I'm holding on for dear life and I'm literally terrified at the beginning. And she said, you're just cruising. And I decided when I ski, we've done quite a few trips up to Morton and things like that. I just have this way of becoming, I know it sounds really crazy, really corny, but I just become one with the ski. Okay. So from a lot of, I guess, my Pilates training as well, I use my thighs, grip on with my thighs because my husband can go very fast at times and I'm a bit of a daredevil too. I like going fast, but I grip on with my thighs. I engage my core. Oh, not all the time. You can't hold your core on for 2 hours. But at those moments where you might go up a wave, I'll just kind of do that internal activation and brace, as opposed to gripping onto the strap or gripping onto my husband because I want him to enjoy the ride too. And having my shoulders clenched up. I know if I'm tight, right? You go over a wave and you land it, you are going to have a bit more impact and it's going to be a little bit more harder on your body. So when you relax and you surrender and you trust and you let go and just feel this feeling of oneness with the ski as I'm going over the wave, I am just feeling the flow of the ocean. I'm feeling the swell and I'm just riding it and just letting go and just trusting in this activation of my core. If anything gets a bit hairy, I can always grab Tom, but I'm just hanging onto the strap at the back of the ski and just feeling this oneness with me, the ski and the ocean, all flowing along together, which is another way of like trust and surrender and flow. So I'm feeling this real beautiful feeling of I'm just cruising along with the ocean, and we get to a point where it is just over halfway, and every now and then we would just stop, have a little bit of breather because it hurts your hands when you're skiing for that long. And, you can feel it right through your forearms, the grip of your fingers. So we would just chill for a little bit, cruise for a little bit. And then all of a sudden we would take off again and we would see like this beautiful formation of the 6 skis, all the whitewash. It just looked stunning, absolutely beautiful. And I just looked around and I just felt completely overcome by beauty, completely overcome by, look at where we are right now. I looked back, we hit this point, we could not see land. And there was a point the boys stopped and we could see a bus stop. So a bus stop's like a whole group of birds, a flock of birds, like these black seabirds, and they're all over the water. There's a bus stop of fish under there. So there's a big school of fish. And if there's a big school of fish, there's bigger fish and sharks and whatever lives under that world. That there's a lot going on under there. And I remember for a split second feeling, keep going, Tom, just kind of cruise around. Don't sit here in complete stillness. Some of the boys went over and threw their fishing rods in the bus stop. And anyway, I'm like, that's cool, but that little bit of fear kicks in. What if there's sharks hanging around? What if, because we didn't pass any boats going out, There was one boat, like a big fisher, like you can see a fisherman boat kind of coming back in. But apart from that, it's not like the Broadwater down the Gold Coast where there's boats everywhere. You're pulling up to Millionaires Row, you're sitting out there, hanging out on your boat. It's not like that at all. We did not pass. We passed one boat that was coming back in. On the way out, there were no other boats going out. There's a bus stop there's birds everywhere, so you know what's going on under the ocean. And we could not see land. And for a split second, my heart started to kind of race a bit. I could feel my body tense up. And I thought to myself, oh, if you could take the wrong turn, and because you can't see Lady Musgrave yet, you could take a wrong turn and you could end up going anywhere and run out of fuel. And these thoughts started going in my head, and I'm like, Lise, get your shit together. Don't think like that. Just take it all in. Get back to surrender, get back to trust, get back to just enjoying this moment. Take a few deep breaths, calm my nervous system. That all went on with probably about 30 seconds, 60 seconds went on. And I'm like, no, it's fine. It is totally fine. We are safe. And as I was skiing along, particularly at this point, I brought in that energy of, and I did this before I went, but I did it again at this point. Like I would ask God, source, universe, soul, guidance, please protect our group. Please make sure everybody's skis are safe. Please make sure that everybody goes there and returns home safely. Please protect us. I visualized this golden white light all around the whole group as we were taking off. And I'm sending like energy of protection to every single jet ski, every single person, that we have a beautiful day and a safe trip. When we get to this point and the fear starts to maybe kick in a little bit, I'm like, no, reground, recenter, wrap yourself up in this golden light of protection again, wrap the group up in this golden light of protection. And I did some of the Reiki symbols over the group, call in that Reiki energy, did my little bit of energy healing over the whole group. We are fine because we made a pact at the beginning. If anything goes wrong with anyone's ski, we turn back. Like if anything's wrong, no one's going anywhere on their own. We go as a group. So we'd set that intention, but I also had this is what helps me go with the trust and the surrender. I thought to myself at the beginning, as we're setting off, I go, if anything goes wrong in terms of someone's jet ski breaks down or just plays up or doesn't feel 100%, we had them all serviced and everything before we went, had all this checked out, so that was fine. But if we have to turn back, that's just God's protection. That is rejection. I always look at life like rejection is God's protection. So if anything come up where we didn't feel safe, the weather was bad, a ski broke down, anything, so what? We turn around, we go home. Worst case, we try again another day. Worst case, we're not meant to do it. That's fine. So that's part of the surrender process, is not being so attached to the outcome, not being so restricted and we have to make it. I've told people we're going. What if we don't go? All those things that go through your head. We were just like, if it's meant to be, it'll be. If it's meant to take us there, we'll be taken there safely. If we're meant to turn around, we turn around. Whatever happens, let's just throw it out there and we'll go on this adventure and just trust in the process, trust in whatever's meant to be will be. And that's what happened. So when we've kind of hit this point, I'm like, Lise, regroup, relax, calm my nervous system down, and we're off again. And as we go, and after I'd felt that little bit of uncertainty, I noticed this I thought it was an eagle at first, but it wasn't. But it looked like an eagle, huge wingspan. This bird comes circling overhead. And with this trip, at the beginning, we saw a few butterflies off land, but other than that, there is nothing besides you in the ocean. Occasionally you'd see a few birds, but the further and further you got out, the birds become less and less, apart from that big bust up of birds that were around the school of fish. You didn't really see much life out there apart from, there's a whole sea life going on underneath you. But I saw this big eagle-like looking bird start circling overhead. And I noticed it. I knew one of my friends, she's quite spiritual as well, would notice it. I saw her look up and had a little bit of a smile together. And then all of a sudden, it would circle around the group and go straight ahead. It would circle around and then go straight ahead. Then another bird come in and another. There was just a couple of them. And I would notice as I'm watching, everyone else is focused on the trip and I'm just lost in paradise. I'm lost in the the morning sun. I'm lost in the birds and just lost in this moment. And I felt in that moment, it was like the birds were like guidance, guiding us into the mainland, because not long after they turned up, they would do these circles. They would head in this direction, that in that direction they were flying, we started to make out Lady Musgrave Island. We could start to see it off in the distance. And it felt like this, almost like this godlike divine energy source, just a sign from the universe saying, Lise, we've got you. We've got the group. We're taking you into shore. And it's like these shearwater birds they were. I looked them up afterwards. And it was like these birds were guiding us into the mainland, and that helped me trust in the spiritual protection, trust in the divine guidance, trust and say thank you. I was like, thank you, universe, thank you, God, thank you for sending these birds to me, and just trusting in the process. So we've kind of watched these birds go in, come into shore, hit a few more waves as we were getting a little bit closer, and then we noticed there were 6 birds kind of circling around, taking us in. We've hit the island. We have literally driven into paradise. If you haven't been there before, this island is magnificent. It's like Low Isles and Port Douglas in terms of there's nothing except on the island. There's a bit of a toilet block. You can camp, but there is nothing. No facilities in terms of no structures. It is just a really, castaway type island, but the water is spectacular. We've snorkeled a lot of places. We've snorkeled off that big Great Barrier Reef pontoon thing up at Hamilton Island, done a lot of the islands. And the water on Lady Musgrave, it was spectacular, like the bluest blue that I have seen. And it was reminded me of Malta, that kind of, Mediterranean type, beautiful clear water. So we go in, we pop the skis, we, anchor up, and we just do a little bit of a walk around the island. Boys crack open a beer and just had a beautiful time on the island. Then we thought, let's go snorkeling. We drive the skis out and we anchor about, I'm terrible with measurements, I don't know, 100 meters off the island or something. And we just anchor all the skis up like a big chain. And we're just all floating out there together. We're in our togs, the boys are having a beer, and we literally just put snorkels on, jump off the ski and go snorkeling to this beautiful marine life underneath us, this world underneath us, and then pop back on, maybe have a breather, have a bite to eat, jump down and snorkel again. There was like turtles. I didn't see any reef sharks on this trip. Somebody else did. There was the beautiful fish. There was one of the girls saw one of the sea snakes. I'm glad I didn't see that, but she needed to see that because snakes mean transformation. And anyway, shedding skin. She needed to see that, and I spoke to her about that. And just this beautiful sea life underneath. And then we would jump on the ski around a little bit further, and the water around there was like crystal, like clear, like a swimming pool. If you have not been to Lady Musgrave, you don't need to ski out there. You can access it by jumping on a boat at 1770, a tour boat, and they will take you out there. It was magnificent. I highly recommend that you go and pay that island a visit and go out there snorkeling. It was seriously one of the best days. We start thinking, okay, we're having a great time. We might head back now, because we knew there was a 2-hour trip ahead of us to go home, because we had to get back, right? And we look over and Tom goes, Lise, look. And we look over and we could see some of the fishing boats starting to come in from the deep sea past Lady Musgrave, heading back into 1770. And we could see they are wave jumping. So we're like, okay, it's picking up a little bit. We might head back now. So we're skiing back, and again, the thoughts kick in, like this is going to be, we can't stay here. We got to go. And there could be roughly 2 hours, maybe a little bit longer, because the swell was a little bit bigger. So if you can imagine, we are literally jumping wave, hit the ground, jump another wave. This went on for at least an hour. Once we kind of got through the channel of Lady Musgrave and Fairfax Island, and then we did hit a point where it did settle down a little bit. But again, it was another trust and surrender, grip on, hold on. I had my towel wrapped around me, jacket on this time that it started, because terrible. I just ski in bikinis and a life jacket. But we rugged up a little bit more this time because we knew it was getting a little bit further in the afternoon and the waves were going to be a tiny bit bigger and we would probably get a little bit wet on the way home. And I just went, just trust, surrender, everything's fine, Reiki the group, recall in that divine guidance and protection and go, let's just have a great time. Like, let's just have a really great trip back. There was a whale on the way back. There was one moment I'm like, I'm going to see dolphins today. And we had seen more and more dolphins on the way back. And there was a moment I looked down between me and our friend Ski. These dolphins were literally riding the waves between our skis. So it was spectacular. I've seen them out here before where they're jumping or they're swimming around, but this one was like there was a couple riding the waves between our skis. It was one of those moments where you go, this is epic, like absolutely epic. And you just feel so much oneness with the universe, oneness with the world is the only way I could describe it. I'm looking around going, thank you, God, this is spectacular. And again, just made the decision. I'm just going to have fun. I am just going to relax into it and I'm just going to ride back and just trust that everything will be fine. When we got back and everything was fine, made it back, took us 2.5 hours to get back, a bit longer. And the swell did die down a bit. There was a bit, it got a little bit flatter. More bust ups, more boys fishing along the way. And it was just really just an incredible adventure. And we got back and obviously we're talking about it and we're like, this will be one of those trips that you say, remember that time we did that, and pop it in the bucket list of things that we have done. And we're talking to a couple of the locals and they're saying, oh, have you been to Lady Musgrave? We're like, yeah, we skied out there. And they're like, you jet skied there? Are you crazy? So we kind of didn't, I guess, realize that not many people actually do this trip. And even talking to one of my clients, she goes, you're insane. She said, I've been out there on the boat, going out on the charter boat. And she said, it's a long trip out there by boat, let alone doing that by ski. But we just embraced it and we just went in with the intention that if it's meant to be, it will be. And that's part of the surrender process. That's part of the trust process in just letting go of attachment, letting go of it has to be a certain way. You're kind of just, you're checking wins, you're checking in daily, you're checking that, is it going to be the right conditions? We don't know, but let's just go anyway. And that is part of the surrender process, part of the process of just, I'm just going to trust in God's source universe that if it is meant to be, it is meant to be. And I want to read out one of my messages from one of my clients who is traveling at the moment. She's in my inner circle coaching program and we've been talking about trust and surrender and letting go. And she wrote this message in the group. She said that she's been challenging herself. She got out of her comfort zone and did some amazing things over in, I can't remember if it was Switzerland or Sweden, one of those places where we spoke about fears and everything beforehand. And she said, I really want to do this where what's it called? Like paraglide, something gliding where you glide off a mountain with a person and you just kind of glide down. And she wanted to do it. She ended up doing it. So proud of her. She ended up doing it, saying it was the best thing ever. But she's gone for quite a few, like 6 or 8 weeks. And she said that I have been challenging myself in a deeper way. Typically when I travel, I rely heavily on a structured itinerary. It gives me a sense of control and helps me manage my anxiety. But this time, she's been coaching with me, right? She said, this time, while I still have my plan, I've allowed myself for more flexibility, choosing to go with the flow, to be more present and truly take in each moment. What's been surprising is that, because she's messaged me this to the group while she's halfway in her trip, what's been surprising is that we've still managed to experience everything we'd planned and even more. On the days where we didn't quite get to everything, I've been able to accept that with ease and recognize that it's meant to be, and simply meant that we were fully enjoying the moment and fully enjoying where we were. most importantly, listen to this, you guys, most importantly, my anxiety has been noticeably more manageable throughout this trip. For me, this is a significant and meaningful win. Thank you. Because she made a decision to, instead of relying on structure, and you need both. You need that masculine and feminine. You need that bit of flow. Like, we didn't go in completely blind where we were stupid. Like, we still had structure in place. We still took safety precautions. We still knew, we went up there with a week, and we knew on one of those days we would find a day that would be good enough weather that we could go over to Lady Musgrave. But we also had in the back of our mind, if the weather is terrible that week, we'll just cancel the whole thing. So we weren't attached to the outcome, and we had the plan. We had a bit of structure. But we also just surrendered and went, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And this is what my client has found as well. Like, she let go of having to control everything, let go of having to rigidly stick to her plan, and allowed herself to be a bit more flexible, allowed herself to be more present and enjoy the moments and go with the flow of her trip instead of rushing to the next thing. They made a decision to take in more of the moments, to take in more of the present moment of enjoying the experience instead of having to quickly look at what's coming up next. And then she noticed she had less anxiety, and that was a huge win for her. And I was so proud of her for doing that, because that's what we do, you guys. We are often so structured, so routine, so regimented, or having to control everything and predict everything, when you allow yourself that little bit of more of an attitude of, yes, I need to plan. Yes, I need to have some routine. Like, we can't flow through life completely without any routine. I still have times I have to turn up to teach. We still have structure. We still have that. But when you embrace more of letting go of attachments of what has to happen, how you want it to happen in your mind, and go, what if the universe has a bigger plan for me? What if the universe has a better plan for me? I went in with I didn't know what I was going to experience on that trip. And I didn't want to know everything. I didn't want to know every detail. I just went in with the expectation of what's meant to be will be. God, source, universe, surprise me. Show me some amazing things. And we did. We had the whale, we had the dolphins, we had the beautiful experience of snorkeling with the wildlife. We had a beautiful day. The weather was insane that whole week. We had beautiful weather because we weren't attached to every single detail of that trip or of the itinerary. And the more you can embrace more of that flow through, I like to think of like a waterfall where you've got the structure of the rock formation, but then you've got the flow of the water. You need both. You need the structure, and then the flow goes down that structure. When you can go through life feeling more of the surrendering into the process, surrendering into letting go of attachment to every detail, surrendering into having to control and predict and manipulate every single thing. What if life presents you with opportunities? What if life shows you things that are better than what you could have imagined, or better than you could have manipulated, or better than you could have planned, because you've let go of the completely having to organize every detail of your life. You're embracing that little bit of more flow and surrender. And that's how, like, I tried to explain it to one of my clients. I said, it's almost like surrendering and letting go is almost like going, fuck it, whatever's meant to be will be. And that's hard sometimes. That can be really, really hard thing to do when we're used to having to manage every detail of life. But when you do it in the little things, whether it can be just a little test of whatever's meant to happen today, like on a weekend, I'm just going to go with whatever shows up today. It could be going for that car park. If I'm meant to get a car park, I will. If not, that's fine too. And doing it in the little things, so that when bigger decisions need to be made or bigger things happen in your life, you've learned the feeling of surrender in the smaller decisions, in those smaller moments. Even like when I'm driving sometimes, if I take a wrong turn, some people can get so hung up in, oh my gosh, I'm just like, oh, well, if I'm meant to, the detour, maybe it's going to stop me from getting into an accident, or maybe it's going to take me a better way, or whatever. I'm just going to trust in the process, take this turn, go back, and then get back on my path again, instead of getting so frustrated about what has happened, or frustrated taking the wrong turn, who cares? I'll go to the next exit and turn around and just go back again. So little things like that you do are going to help you with making bigger decisions. They're going to help you trust in more guidance that comes through to you. This is how you learn to trust signs. This is how you, like those signs that come in the birds overhead, the dolphins that come beside me in the trip. When you are so present when you're so present in the oneness of immersing yourself in those moments, you get more signs, you get more flow of life, you get more inspiration, you get more creativity, you get more of like opportunities and experiences and ideas and wisdom, inspiration come through to you when you get lost in the moments of life, when you practice in the little things, getting lost in a morning sunrise, getting lost in feeling the rain on your skin, getting lost in your body in a yoga class on the mat, getting lost in music when you're dancing. When you immerse yourself in more of these moments of going with the flow, these moments of taking in the beauty, these moments of being so interconnected with the beauty of life, really feeling this oneness of life, what if it flows better for you? What if life unfolds better for you? And I like to think, it was funny, after that trip, I had a dream about I got a tattoo of a wave on my arm, which is so ridiculous. But when you look up like the meaning of a wave, I Googled it, like what's the meaning of a wave? I know what it means for me, but I just want to look into it a little bit more. And it talked about like this ebb and flow of life, this ebb and flow of emotions, learning to let go of control and go with the flow of life, learning that you have ups and downs, learning like in some traditions, this, when I Googled it, some traditions said like, the wave represents the divine power, being driven by the power of God rather than human strength and relying just on the humanness. Learning to go through life and being guided by the Holy Spirit is going to move you through life. Or the wave can be symbolic of part of a larger collective, part of a greater whole, like the ocean, this beautiful big ocean. Because I'm telling you, when I was out there in those moments, you feel like a speck. You feel so small when you cannot see land. All you can see is water as far as you can see. And we turn the motors off and we turn the engines off, and we're just sitting there floating through the ocean for a little bit, just letting our skis just float with the swell. It felt spectacular. I could have got lost in the fear the whole time and been so rigid and gripping the whole time, or making a decision to go, I'm just going to surrender into this oneness that is all around me, because you feel like a speck in the ocean. You can get overcome with fear, or you could look at this beauty all around you. And I made a decision to look through my lens, through my perspective, with more beauty and more getting lost in this divine lusciousness, this deliciousness of that moment of just floating in the ocean, taking in the sun, taking in the beauty all around, looking at the depths of the water, just taking in this awe. Getting through that trip, not even getting through, enjoying that trip with so much awe and so much curiosity, and going, this is incredible. I've never done anything like this before, and I'm just going to lap it up. I'm going to roll with whatever rolls our way. I'm going to trust, I'm going to surrender, but I'm going to ask for guidance. I'm going to ask for protection. And I do that every day. I do that all the time. Sending that energy of love and protection out to my kids when they drive, to my husband when he's going through a hard time, through my class when I'm teaching, and sending energy of love and protection to all of my community. When I podcast, doing it, I'm constantly asking God, source, universe, please protect me, please protect my family, please protect my loved ones, please protect my community, please give us guidance, please support us, please help keep us safe. Your energy is powerful. When you feel that you are when you're asking for more guidance, you're asking for more protection, you are putting out that energy of love, of protection, it helps you with that process of trust. It helps you surrender into whatever is meant to be, because you're calling on that higher source, that higher guidance to help get you through life, to help navigate you through life, to help protect you on your journey, as well as just relying on the physical. the human strength. You're using the earth angel. You're going through life in this physical body, but you're also using that energy or calling on that energy of that higher power, God, source, universe, love, trust, whatever you want to call it, to help protect you and guide you through life as well. The more you do that in the little things, the more you can do it in the bigger things, and the more you are going to go through life with more trust and surrender, because you know the universe has got your back. You know there's a bigger source out there guiding you, taking care of you, protecting you, that it helps you feel that you can take on more things, that you can try more things, that you can go through more of a feeling of flowing through life, as opposed to going through life with you have to do all the heavy lifting. The universe can do some of the heavy lifting for you as well. I hope that helps, and I hope that has inspired you to maybe go and try a few more things, because I'm telling you, that trip was epic, and I'm so grateful that we did that. And it will be something that we will talk about many, many times with our group of friends, but also it'll be a memory that will live in my heart forever. Those dolphins, like, kind of just cruising along beside me in the waves. Magic. How can you embrace more magic of your life, the beauty all around you every single day, angels? Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you soon, my friends. So much love to you. Bye.